Guys, welcome to Open Studio. As always, I'm your host for today's show. My name is Danny Kambwa, and yes, we've got an amazing show for you guys today because joining me in studio is a wonderful young lady who goes by the name of Zilungile from an amazing organization called FunDza. Okay, so we all know that it is Nelson Mandela Month, all right? So one of his favorite quotes that we all know is education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. All right, here to speak about education and reading is you. So how can we? How does this work? You know, we've heard about FunDza, we've seen it, you know, but we see there's a lot of books happening here. There's a bit of, you know, it makes your mind wonder, what is this about? So for those that's watching for the first time, that's hearing about this for the first time, can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself, you know, about your background?
All right, thank you so much. So we all know that South Africa has a huge literacy crisis,
Yes.
and this relates to mother tongue languages and languages that are used for medium of instruction, i.e. your English and Afrikaans.
Yeah.
So the study that was done, the Pearls study that was done in 2011, actually revealed that a grade 4 learner in South Africa does not have the necessary global literacy levels that that learner should have, meaning that a grade 4 learner cannot read efficiently, they cannot articulate themselves efficiently, they cannot distinguish between, you know, phonemes and, you know, all of those things. So because of that challenge, we thought it was time for us to gather up in arms and see what we can do to make sure that young people between the ages of 13 and 25 take up reading as an enjoyable exercise and they don't see it as a chore. So in some of the books that we have created with these young people that we work with, the narrative in the story has them in it. They can see themselves in the plot, because oftentimes the reason why young people don't read is because they are so far removed from the narrative such that reading becomes bothersome and it becomes a chore. So that is what we do. So we have customized an application that is used on a cell phone and on any handheld device or a device that has internet. It mimics a physical library that a young person or any other person can actually, you can go into it, you can access all different kinds of stories. We have online courses, we have did you knows, how-tos, and interactive stories that it's a whole list and a whole menu that you can just navigate through and elicit what it is that you like reading. And the nice thing about it is that our application is 0 rated with Cell C and MTN, and it's also available on the Moya app as well, so you can read 24/7 actually.
Wow. This is a very successful NGO. You know,
we're trying.
It's a very good initiative that you've taken on. I can imagine that people will want to support this. So just tell us, how did this come about exactly? You know, like which year maybe? Or,
all right.
Yeah.
So it was in 2011. So one of our literacy specialists, Dorothy Dyer, who was a teacher at the time, noticed that when she was in class, her learners will be, you know, having their hands under their desk, tapping on their cell phones. And she was wondering, what is it that is taking their attention from the lesson itself to their cell phones? So she realized that they were busy on Mixit and so forth. So she started writing stories on 2-page books, and the stories would circulate in the school and in her classes as well. They became popular such that the learners couldn't wait for the next chapter, but Miss write us another chapter of the story, and then the pages would circulate in the school. So she then thought, what if I put these onto Mixit, you know what I mean? So that they can enjoy these stories on a medium that they enjoy using, which is a cell phone. So that's the whole idea of FunDza. She met up with Mignon Hardy and Roz at the time, and they started FunDza Literacy Trust. And we also came in and said, we believe in literacy. We want young people to be literate. We want them to start writing. We want them to start reading for meaning as well. So from 2011 till to date, we have been going strong.
Wow. And I mean, you are never too old to learn.
Never.
So just to tell us, what are the age groups, you know, when you speak about young people, what are the age group that we're looking at?
Well, specifically, our target market is teens and young adults. So that is between the ages of 13 and 25, although not limited to, because we have found that on the Monday we publish children's stories. So when we publish children's stories, obviously, a 13-year-old is not a child, that's a teenager. So they read to their siblings as well. So we're encouraging that family participation when it comes to learning. And we've also found that there are other readers and writers who want to submit their work to us to get published, and they're way over the age of 25. So although, of course, our niche or our target audience is between the ages of 13 and 25, we do have these overlaps on the sides, your children and your people that are over the age of 25. And that's fine. We want to get South Africans reading.
Yes.
We want them to start enjoying writing their own stories, using their own frame of reference and their own narratives.
Wow. So when we come back from the break, we're going to go into more details, you know, as to what you are doing to help these young people, you know, write their own stories. But just briefly, can you tell us, within these age groups that you are working with currently, are you facing any challenges?
There are many. Firstly, there's the financial constraint, because we would like to reach every young person in South Africa, but because we're an NGO and there are financial limitations, we cannot reach everybody at the same time. So that's why we're using a mobile platform to make sure that we at least access a lot of people. And also the other challenge is always the language barrier. You know what I mean? I don't think it's possible yet for any company in the country to hire everyone who speaks the same language and has command over the same language in the same company. You have people who speak the 11 official languages. I haven't come across that. So there's that limitation as well, where you'll have to go to, I'm making an example, you're going into Limpopo, and in Limpopo there either speaks Sotho or whatever the case is, and you speak Northern Sotho. So already there's that barrier in communication. But words and stories combine people, but you need to also understand the culture. So those are some of the limitations. And also technological limitations as well, because our content is hosted on an application that is on a cell phone and on desktops. So the limitations of how do you keep the software up to date, the money that is used, that is needed for the upgrades, because we're getting a lot of people onto the platform, so the platform itself cannot handle the weight. So we're constantly in search of ways and means of making sure that if you have 20 people on the site, they all can access the site quite easily, quite accessibly, and they can enjoy their experience without having a signal cut off and so forth. So it's one of the main one, obviously, is the financial limitation, and it is also the language limitation which we are trying to counter as much as we can.
Okay. So of the books that is being published, is it being published in every language, or just the one language that's been written?
So our mobile application has all the 11 official languages in South Africa. And the books that we have created are in multilingual languages that are in South Africa. Of course, not all at this particular point. But we've published in English, we've published in Zulu, we've published in isiXhosa, and we're still in talks of trying to publish other African languages as well, also based on the need. Because you will recall that we collect data, so it informs us who are our readers and what language are they reading in.
Wow. We're going to take a short break. I can see how excited we are to speak about things like this. Guys at home, I hope you're just excited as we are. So I'll urge you not to go anywhere. And we'll be, after the break, we'll continue our conversation. So stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. You're watching Open Studio on Cape Town TV. I've got Zulungile with me in studio from an amazing organization called FunDza. So we've been chatting a little bit earlier on with regards to the history of FunDza, how it came about, and also how you are making a difference within the lives of the young people, which is very amazing to hear. That, and it's very, you know, comforting and heartwarming to hear that there are people trying to make a difference out there. So just to continue our conversation, I see there's a couple of books here on set with us. There's one here that says Offside, and I'm looking at many books. It's all got unique names and with deep meaning, you know. And you mentioned that these were books written by the young people within the organization. So can you just tell us about this process?
All right. So how we reach young people is we go into communities and we conduct reading and writing workshops to make sure that we get young people reading for enjoyment and writing for meaning. So whenever we do these workshops, there are certain kinds of writings that are birthed from those spaces. And also young people within the communities can send us emails on our writing email to submit their stories and so forth. And we thought to ourselves, okay, how then will they be able to access all of these stories? And we want them to take these stories and give them to their friends, their family members, because as a writer, there is no feeling that amounts to the one where you see your stories and then you see your name next to it. So we decided, you know what, it's time for us to package this material into books. So there's cover to cover our printing company, the printing company that we use. So all of their stories are here. Their poems, their essays, their narratives. They submit them to us. We have a team of editors in-house. We edit all of the material, and we package it in this fashion. And also we work with 121 reading groups across South Africa. This includes your libraries, it includes your reading clubs and so forth. So these books get donated to those 121 beneficiary groups across the country.
So of the young people that is, you know, writing these books, Once they write it, it's published. So is it given to them, or is it sold? Is it sent to schools? What happens to these books?
All right, so they can get a couple of copies for themselves,
Okay.
and it remains their work. You get what I'm trying to say? It remains theirs for life.
Yeah.
And then because we're an NGO, we don't sell these books. We donate them to different reading groups that are across the country that come from communities that are book scarce. Because the main challenge in South Africa is not that people don't want to read. It's just that there isn't available material for them. Lack of resources. So we're trying as much as we can to close that gap by donating these books.
Wow. And I mean, you like you mentioned earlier on that finance is one of the biggest challenges you're facing. And, you know, one would think maybe these books are the way in which you raise funds, but it's actually not, you know, which makes it even much more beautiful, because you stick to what you say, you stick to what you believe, you know, which is amazing. So I'm looking at these books, and it speaks to different age groups. As I'm looking at it here, it speaks to different age groups. So what, can I say, what feedback or that have you received from the schools or the organization that you've handed out or dished out these books to?
We've had overwhelming feedback, firstly from the people that go onto our Mobi site and read the content there. We've had feedback to the effect of, I used to read these books and not sleep at night back in the Mixed days. And those people from the Mixed days are still with us today.
Yeah.
And it's overwhelming. And we'd love to meet these people, but obviously, again, because of limitations, we cannot. And we've had feedback even from the writers, people saying that when I was at school, I had a problem and a huge challenge with using the English language, or even my own language for that matter. But because I kept on writing essays and submitting poems to you guys, and I got credible feedback, because you looked at every sentence, you interrogated, you know, the plot and the narrative of my story. I'm now better able to articulate myself, because we want to appeal to two things. We want to appeal to your reading parameter and also your writing parameter, because these two things are quite interlinked.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, go ahead.
So I think that's why we have these titles, actually. We have this title, for instance, The Hero Within. We have Abazingeli Bezitunzi. We have Offside over there. And the reason why we have these titles is because you'd find that maybe we're working with young people in a township, right? We cannot write about Cinderella in a township, because it doesn't snow, for one. And you know what I mean? You can't be speaking about things like the Tooth Fairy, because yes, although it's fictional, but it's not South African fiction. So they lead us as much as possible. They tell us what is going on in the township. It's a pity there's a book called Jealous in Josie and Sugar Daddy.
Wow.
So you'd get a sugar daddy maybe in Khayelitsha. I'm making an example. So they lead us. They tell us how they want their stories to be told, because we don't want the reverse of that, telling them what they should write. They're writing their lives and they're rewriting their lives, and by so doing they're influencing other people as well. And what better way to archive that than in a book?
Wow. And I'm looking at these books and the banners you have up here. I just can't help but wonder, who is Sindiwe Magona?
Well, Sindiwe Magona is not necessarily part of FunDza, but Sindiwe Magona is a seasoned South African author. She has written over 100 books, and most of those have been translated into isiXhosa. She's a veteran. I understand she's from Guguletu.
Okay.
Yeah, she is an amazing person. Yeah.
So we do have our own heroes within our own communities, you know, within our own little space. And, you know, and what the organization is doing is bringing these heroes to light, you know, giving them a platform to shine. So which is something amazing to see. But now, many people take reading for granted, you know, just having some form of education, many people take it for granted. But just in your opinion, you know, you've been in this, you are in this, you see what is happening out there, you see how much different and a change reading and education is making within young people. What do you have to say about how important it is that you read and that you have a basic education?
You see, I always find that it's a misconception that people say, let's say, for instance, the black nation or the colored nation or young people are not reading. I feel like that's a gross misinterpretation, and it's wrong, actually. Because when we were younger, we were reading Chepis rappers with the Did You Know? We've been reading since we were young. It's just that as we grew older, the material that was interesting and appealing to us started fizzling out and losing interest, and we started losing interest in it. And also with the advent of social media and media in itself, which took us away from reading a book and made us to sit in front of a television or just listen to radio. I feel like we have been reading. It's just that we have not taken the time to actually consciously write about the things that we're thinking about. There's a huge challenge in South Africa, of course, when it comes to reading and writing, and the two are directly aligned. I feel that if we can have more organizations, or if we could have more money, actually, to work with young people across the four corners of South Africa, to cultivate their stories and preserve their stories. For instance, you have young people that are living in places such as Springbok, 200 kilometers away from the Namibian border, and they're of the Khoisan tribe and the Namas and so forth. How much of that history have we actually archived? How much of the stories that relate to Khoisans have they actually written? Because you'd find that maybe it's a person who comes from the Eastern Cape who knows of the Khoisans will then start writing a book about the Khoisans. Now you have removed the story holder from the narrative, although of course you can play an overarching view of telling the story. So I feel we need to go to where the story is birthed. To access people there.
So we're just going to take another short break, guys. For you guys that's watching at home, please do not go anywhere. Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome to it. If you just tuned in, you're not too late, although we're almost at the end of the show, but you're still in time to learn something new. We've got an amazing organization with us here in the studio, goes by the name of FunDza, and also an amazing young lady who's a representative. All right, so we spoke a little bit more about, you know, the history, how far this organization has come with the little that they are getting, okay? And also how much effort and time you've put into young people to bring out what is within them in form of writing. You know, you've helped them publish these books, you've helped them distribute these books to communities, organizations, and schools where the need is. All right, so that is amazing, and I'm sure people that are watching at home are probably thinking, how can we get involved? How can we help? How can we help you grow? You know, and I hope that is what you guys are thinking at home, because this is an initiative that you wouldn't want to take for granted. So for those that's currently watching right now and is wondering, can books be donated to the organization?
Definitely. If a person out there or an organization out there has access to books that they want to, you know, distribute in South Africa, but they don't know how, or they want to donate to an organization that is working within communities and wanting young people to read and write, they can definitely donate books to us. Our physical address is 85 Main Road in Muizenberg. That's where we are physically. Although, of course, we have a national footprint through the means in which we use our material, i.e. the Mobi site, and using any handheld device, actually. So you can go onto our corporate site, www.fundza.co.za. Alternatively, you can access our mobile library by going to live.fundza.mobi, and you'll recall that it is free. It is 0 rated with Cell C and MTN, and you can also access us on the Moya app. Also, if you go to Play Store, and then you search FunDza. If you first search Free Basics, and then FunDza will be under Free Basics, under Education. We're also on social media. Facebook is our biggest platform, FunDza Literacy Trust. FunDza Literacy Trust.
So just make sure we get that word right, because I said FunDza. Because the first word that captured my mind, my attention was fun. You know, so it's actually.
But you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all, because we're trying to make reading fun.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
and I can imagine. I mean, if you look at these stories and the headlines, the heading to it, it's actually fun. You know, you get to learn, like you mentioned, the Khoisan and things like that. But now, something that I've taken of interest actually is your Mobi site and your app. You know, you mentioned it's 0 rated on Cell C and MTN.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. So just tell us a little bit more about that. What exactly will you find in the app?
On the app.
Yes.
So if you go onto the application, let's say, for instance, you're using a cell phone.
Yes.
So you go onto your browser, Chrome, Internet Explorer, whichever it is, and then you just type in live.fundza.mobi, and then you'll get the interface. I can show you actually if.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So the interface will come up, and then the content that has been published for the week will be there at the top. I'll show you briefly, and perhaps you can interact with this as well. Let's go there. Sure. So this is what you would, you know, typically do. You'd go to live.fundza.
So that's live.fundza?
Yes, .mobi. It comes up right up there at the top. We click on it. And then it says a mobile reading community. So that's the one that you're looking for. You click on it. And then this is what you'll get.
Okay. Wow.
So this is the interface, the menu, the search, the logins.
Yeah, so.
So at the top there, you have latest stories and books. And the great thing about it is it's interactive. So right now it tells you that there are 229 users online at this particular moment.
Wow.
So we're able to ascertain who's reading and who's not reading.
Yeah.
Yes. So we constantly have to make our content relatable so that we retain those people and we get them to be foot soldiers so that they can invite other 229 people to come onto the site.
Yeah, so that is also how you keep track of how many people is actually,
Yes.
you know, in a monthly basis or weekly basis, and how effective the app is based on how many people is taking part and, you know, logging in. And wow,
and also this
good.
is technology. It needs to be upgraded all the time, and the upgrades require money. They require certain kinds of skills that you have to pay really good money for.
Yeah.
So we're trying with the little that we have to make sure that it is accessible as much as possible. So it's children's stories. It is, for instance, one of the books that we brought here is also available as an e-copy. So if you don't have a physical book, you can always
get it online. So the books online, are they downloadable? Can it be downloaded?
No, you don't download the books. You read
read
them.
it online.
You read them, so you can read on and offline.
Yeah, well, it's zero rated, so you wouldn't really.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, and even our trending stories, the ones that have been read the most and people seem to enjoy mostly, so they'll be over there. And the young people that have written these books, you'll find their content there as well.
Also content on there. Okay. So you say you're currently situated in Muizenberg.
Yes.
And these young people that you are working with, where are they coming from?
Most of the young people that we've worked with here are based in Cape Town, in the Western Cape actually, in the different parts of the Western Cape. They're also based in Gauteng, they're based in Limpopo. And some of them, you find that they have submitted their writing via email and their stories have been published on here. So it's a wide range of young people that we've worked with. Let's just say they're coming from South Africa, but predominantly the Western Cape.
Yeah. So what is your views for FunDza in the next 5 years, time?
Well, in the next 5 years, we like getting young people tech savvy as well.
Yeah.
That's why we have, programmed a library onto your phone. In the next 5 years, the future of the fourth industrial revolution looks amazing, first of all. If we are ready for it as, Africa, that's still another debate for another day. But it's here.
Yeah.
I see young people being tech savvy, being able to load their own stories without those stories having to go through our editors. I see them going on there and editing each other's work and being interactive.
Wow.
Because they cannot see themselves, they cannot see each other physically, I see them interacting more online and giving each other credible advice, learning from one another, and also imparting different knowledge and insights that they've learned throughout our FunDza journey. I see more people getting onto the platform because when we send out our newsletters, our analytics also inform us that there are people outside of Africa that are coming onto our site and reading the material. I see an international community coming on board and saying reading and writing is a matter of urgency and young people need to start reading and writing. So I see growth, and I'd love to get more young people published and them having a copy with their name on the cover.
Wow, it's a big dream.
It is a big one. And
dreams are free.
Dreams are free.
Yeah. So just for those that missed it, briefly, we've got a few seconds left. Just again, take us through the social media platforms where we can get in contact with
us.
Yeah,
okay, so our social media platforms, our biggest platform is Facebook, so it's FunDza Literacy Trust. You can catch us on Twitter as well by using the handle @FunDza Club, one word, no space. Our corporate site is www.fundza.co.za, and our mobile site is live.fundza.mobi.
Okay, guys, and there you have it. Make sure you go out there and check out the social media platform and also check out the website, guys. I promise you will not be disappointed. All right, so thank you so much for coming through to the show today, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. My name is Danny Kamba. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.